Hello, and welcome to the Some Kind of Mystic podcast, the show that bridges all things mystical with the chaotic and unpredictable experience of being authentically human. I'm your host, Jessie Herman, life coach, energy healer, artist, mother, and channel for the non-physical entity group Vagrein. In other words, I'm some kind of mystic, and so are you. Today, I'm super excited to be bringing you this interview with Neil Dylan Young. Neil is a peak performance coach helping successful entrepreneurs push even further past their limits in order to create more freedom in their lives. He's passionate about learning from the masters. He's currently in his third year of the Platinum Partnership with his mentor, Tony Robbins, who I love as well. And his claim to fame is having participated in 22 Tony Robbins events in 22 consecutive months. He believes and teaches that living your dream life is about mastering 4 key areas: your intentions, your feelings, your habits, and your energy. Neil's a father and a successful business entrepreneur. He also creates revolutionary and supportive peer group structures where people uplift each other instead of competitively knocking each other down. In today's episode, Neil talks with us about creating mental incantations, aligning them with your chakras, and focusing on your breathing to satisfy your human needs. In this way, you can have your whole life clarified by using a balanced mix of pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and nouns. Neil even takes the time to walk me through the process of creating my own incantation. At the end of the episode, Neil also offers a free template that you could download on his website to create your own incantations. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the episode to find out what our guest's fun fact for the day is and to find out the strangest thing that Neil ever did while running a marathon. But first, please enjoy this amazing interview with Neil Dylan Young called Outstanding Incantations, here on Some Kind of Mystic. Hello, Neil Dylan Young. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So when I first discovered you, it was based upon your work that you've done with breaking habits, right? So that was really interesting. But since then, I found out how much more you're doing and this amazing, what would you call it, system that you've come up with that uses words to change your reality. So let's just dive right into that because I'm so curious about it and I want to hear everything you have to share with us.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me on, Jessica. So I'm 36 years old, 37 in 20 days, actually. Time is flying by. Dad's British, mom's Indian. I grew up in Dubai for the last 33 years. I went to university, did hotel management in the UK, came back to Dubai. I was working like a few different construction jobs, and I had a panic attack. So never had a panic attack before in my life. Just couldn't get my breath. So I remember sneaking out of the office, driving down to the beach, thinking, what is going on? Like, why am I feeling like this? And in hindsight, doing a lot of analysis, I realized I wasn't listening to my heart.
Okay.
Like I was kind of just copying everyone, copying my parents, my peers, colleagues, friends. So at that moment, I kind of decided I need to change. So I left that job. I was quite low in cash. I was drinking tons of alcohol, so I was putting on weight, a bit overweight. And then I left lots of peer groups that were bad influence on me. So quite lonely. So lonely, lone, cash, and overweight, just like ultimate dark moment. But yeah, that kind of kickstarted me to get into personal development. Started listening to quite a few podcasts. My favorite one was Johnny Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. So listen to that podcast every morning. Listen to the successes and failures of other entrepreneurs. Through that podcast, I found out about a mastermind group based in Nashville, Tennessee. So I joined that. That was with like 100 other guys. My group had like 10 other entrepreneurs in it. And then, I was in that for 2 years doing goal setting, kind of just hanging around with more like-minded people. After those 2 years, I thought it was time for something else. So I went to my first Tony Robbins event. So that was in 2017.
Which event was that? I'm curious. Was that Unleash the Power or what was it?
So my wife actually got me into Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And like as much as I might appear like a kind of spiritually woke kind of person, like quite open-minded, I was never like that before, So I think I saw UPW and David Destiny. I was like, I don't need that. So I went to Business Mastery first in Las Vegas, 2017. Signed up for his Platinum Partnership in day 3.
Wow.
Big commitment, 85K a year. I then proceeded to do 22 events in a row. So like literally 2017, end of 2017, or August 2017 till end of 2019. Did those 22 events in a row. It's like 2 years of Tony Robbins University. Really changed my life. During that time, I also partnered with my father. He has a structural engineering consultancy.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a E-Myth business coaching. I don't know if you've read the book E-Myth Revisited. It's a book about like entrepreneurship. So they turned it into a
Okay.
coaching program. We did that for 2 years. That helped us scale our business from 300K to 3 million, and the Tony Robbins stuff helped too.
Sure.
Yeah, that journey kind of made me realize two things. So life's all around peer group. You hang around is who you become, and then human needs. Okay, and why I created my gear incantation system was after doing those 22 events, I just found there's too much content being thrown at me.
Okay.
Tony's got like the 10 steps to this, the 4 commandments of this, the 3-step process to this. I'm like, whoa, content overload, way too much.
Sure.
So I thought there's got to be a better way, because each event's just a different topic, like business, health, relationships, so on. But it's the same kind of framework. So yeah, I just created my own gear incantations framework, and basically I have 8 incantations I'm saying in my head every second of every day. So even now while I'm talking to you, I'm saying one incantation in my head. Um, those eight incantations, they are associated with 8 different chakras.
Just to interrupt you, can you explain to us what you mean by incantations?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so it's basically like an affirmation or a mantra. So
Okay.
like it's just words you're saying in your head. Like a lot of people come to me to get business results. I've helped people with health and peak performance too. But the main thing is just being consistent over like a long period of time. So for me, it's just kind of working backwards. So if you look at being consistent for a year, whether it's in business, health, relationships, whatever goal you're trying to achieve, you're not consistent for a year straight away. Like first you're consistent. Before that, you're consistent for like a quarter. Then you're consistent for a month or a week, then a day, then an hour, then a minute, then a second. So you've got to go back to that second. And one of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes is, "It's in your moments of decision that your destiny is made." It got me thinking, like, yeah, every second of every day, what are the words that I'm saying in my head? These incantations, affirmations that I say, there's 8 of them. I've got them memorized. Like I said, I associate them with different chakras because each chakra has different meanings. And then in terms of the incantations, how they're structured, there's 4 human needs that are satisfied in the incantations. So if any one of your listeners that are listening, if you're into Tony Robbins, he does like a 6 human needs framework.
Okay.
Probably the most famous human needs framework is from Maslow. So Maslow's like a 5 human needs framework. Get like disc profiles, Myers-Briggs. There's like lots of different frameworks, so it's quite subjective. So I prefer like a 4 human needs framework. So basically, the 4 human needs that we're looking to satisfy in the incantations are contribution, growth, love, connection, and certainty. The way I found to satisfy those human needs is through language. I focus on pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and nouns. Okay, so pronouns satisfy contribution because that's where you're giving to. Are you giving to yourself, to him, to her, the business, the project? Who are you giving to? Okay, so that's the first human need, pronouns. The next one is adjectives. So this satisfies the need for love connection. So what meaning, positive and negative, are you giving to things around you? The next human need is satisfied by verbs. It's all to do with growth. It's just
Mm.
basically taking action. And then the fourth human need is nouns, so physical things. I need to have a girlfriend, boyfriend, food, water, money, laptop, car,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. And so what I do is help people create these incantations. They've got a balanced mix of all of these words. They've got a balanced mix of pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and nouns. I put that into a spreadsheet, and then yeah, we kind of get that memorized. We've got a whole process for it. But that's the kind of way that I make incantations and condense them into shorter form incantations too. So they're easier to remember because I was going a bit crazy in the beginning when I was trying to memorize that because it's such a mouthful,
Okay.
that you're trying to focus on.
So would each of these cantations be like a sentence that includes all 4 of those, like sort of like a phrase? Oh, okay. And with your clients, you'd be coming up with those phrases on a personal, person-to-person basis based upon what they have in terms of their needs, or is it like a set structure that works for everybody?
It's a set structure, so a great analogy would be that I've designed a car. This is how like a car works. You're going to pick the destination, you'll pick the color of the car, the type of engine, the type of passenger, so you're kind of customizing it towards yourself, but
Okay.
there's like a kind of set structure.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So could you give us an example of that? Like, can we do a little bit of
Yeah.
back and forth
So
about that now? Like, if I was going to come to you and like create an incantation, let's not. I imagine there's a reason why you have 8 of them.
if you want to categorize life, I put it into 8 different life categories. So
Okay.
first is business, then finance, health, relationships, play, education, environment, contribution. I
Okay.
find life can be kind of categorized in those 8 different categories. And I think I got that from T. Harv Eker. That's his kind of model for categorizing life. And Tony Robbins got his Wheel of Life, and there's lots of different frameworks. But I found like an 8 life framework works quite well because it aligns with 8 different chakras too.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, if you wanted to create an incantation now, um, so right, I always start off with business. Okay, so
Okay.
business I associate with the first chakra. So and I'm assuming your audience is quite familiar with
Yeah.
chakras.
So the first chakra would be the root, which is your sort of stabilized
Yeah,
base of all that comes from that. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So and this first chakra, the first incantation is the most important. So business is the first one, finance is the second one, health is the third chakra, and so on. I always tell people like maybe 99% of your day, you want to be focusing on that first chakra because that first chakra has a lot to do with your identities and skill sets.
Okay.
Um, whereas the other chakras, when I do the incantations, it's more focusing on things outside of you. So like money,
Mm-hmm.
energy, like your health, relationships, different activities and stuff. My coaching methodology is based on like Tony, Sadhguru, Joe Dispensa.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few communities, I do get a bit discouraged by them. I mean, I did
Okay.
learn a ton from them, but like, for example, like Joe Dispensa,
Okay.
I do find some people in that community and other communities, they can be a bit woo-woo, like a bit not
Hmm.
so grounded, like
Okay.
a bit like the head kind of in the clouds. And I mean, that's fine, but just personally, I really want to have an impact in the world and
Yeah.
really help people overcome their problems. And I find if you just focus on like the kind of higher chakras, you'll feel great. It'll
Yeah.
be amazing. But how much impact are you going to have? For me, that first chakra is really building that foundation and identities so that when challenges come, you can really focus on it.
Someone who isn't an entrepreneur or isn't in business, let's say, someone who perhaps has dedicated their life to their family or dedicated their life to their community or, is creating on a different level. Would business then be synonymous for purpose in those types of situations?
Good question. Good question. So I only work with entrepreneurs because
Okay.
like business is the big thing here,
Sure.
but this can be applied to anyone.
Okay.
For example, like one of my clients I was working with, we did so I do business incantations too. So
Yep.
we've got his team of 6 people, and we created the incantations for his team, and 2 of them actually realized they wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So they actually quit. They actually quit the business, and it was a good move in the end because they probably weren't the right fit for the long term vision of the company. But my system kind of makes you want to start your own business, and
Okay.
because you kind of realize the skill sets. But
Okay.
going back to your question, when I say business, like it's mostly to do with skill sets. So you could be
Mm-hmm.
like a stay-at-home mom, not have a business, but you still got skills. Everyone needs skills. Otherwise, you're too dependent on other people to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a business, just think of it as skill sets. And the reason I talk about this first incantation with your first chakra being so important, like I said, it's all about skill sets. And I said the other incantations and chakras are to do with things outside of you. And I always pose the question to people saying, if all of your dreams came true right now, so you got all the money you wanted, all the health, all the relationships, everything you wanted, if it all came to you right now, would you be able to handle it?
Mm.
Yeah, people say, yeah, maybe, but oh yeah, it's a lot. Like
Sure.
it's like saying I want to be the strongest person in the world, and the universe says, okay, there's like a 1,000-pound dumbbell, and you collapse underneath it because you haven't earned it. You
That's
haven't
right.
really built that muscle. So the answer is normally like if all your dreams came true, you wouldn't be able to handle it because you
Mm-hmm.
haven't got that foundation yet. And this is how people get broken, get injured, all these different things happen. So this first chakra is super important in terms of building those skill sets and identities. Because once you kind of master that and you're focusing on that first chakra and incantation the whole day throughout the day, a lot of fear goes. Like that first chakra is to do with
Okay.
fear quite a bit.
Sure.
Um, and the biggest thing I see people messing people up is that they get too dependent on things outside of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
like Tony Robbins says, like all I need is within me now, and that's a lot to do that first chakra, first incantation. If you believe you've got the skill sets and you're practicing it all the time, you're not worried about losing money or your health or relationships because you can get it back. You've
Right.
got the skill set.
Yeah.
So that first incantation I associate with like business and skill sets, super important.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how would you create this? How would you
Okay.
plug into the model of this car?
So I've got this gear system. It says up here,
Okay.
gear.
And what does gear stand for?
Giving, emotions, actions, results.
Wonderful.
Okay. In my head, I call it giving, feeling, doing, having. But
Okay.
that doesn't turn into like a cool acronym.
Sure.
So it's like, how can I make it into something cool? So gear came up.
Okay.
And it makes sense because like you're kind of getting into gear and
absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
So the way we would start is always with the heart. Okay, which is the first one, giving. So just clarify, big beautiful heart to really to what you want in your life. Okay, so giving is from the heart, emotions all around the body, the different chakras, from actions. For me, that's like a spiritual kind of need. It's like your spirit. It's a bit subjective here, but Tony Robbins defines spirituality as like progress moving forwards. For me, if somebody says they're in like a flow state, for me, that's like they've mastered that need, which kind of just taking action.
Yes. Okay.
Being in a flow. And then the final need is the mind. And the need of the mind is around having, wants to have stuff.
Okay.
We're going to give a lot of attention from our heart, get clear on the emotions in our body, get clear on the actions that our spirit wants to take, and then get clear on the physical things that our mind needs to have that safety and security.
Okay.
So that's the process we're going to do to build the incantations. So the first step I do is I really want people to get in their heart because we're going to build the incantation for you. Just put your hand on your heart, just close your eyes, and just breathe in and exhale. And anyone else listening, just try and copy this. So close your eyes, hand to your heart, just inhale and exhale, and just keep on doing that. And on every inhale, I want you to feel your heart getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? And now I want you to feel your heart being bigger than you. I want you to feel your heart being bigger than the room you're in. Your heart is bigger than the house you're in. Your heart is bigger than the city you're in. Your heart is bigger than the country you're in. Your heart is bigger than the earth. Your heart is bigger than the solar system. Your heart is bigger than the galaxy. And your heart is bigger than the universe. Okay? So now that you realize how big your heart is and how much you have to give to the different areas of life, specifically business that we're going to be focusing on now, just come back to me. And the exercise I do here is I'll get people to imagine that there's a genie here. So like the genie from Aladdin is here. And it's granting you as many wishes as possible. But the thing is, all these wishes are going to disappear after 60 seconds. Okay. So you've got to wish for as many things as you want in the area of business. Okay, and the genie will grant it true. Will grant it true. And then what I would do here is be taking notes. Okay, so if I'm working one with a client, I'd be typing it. When I do it in a group setting, everyone's taking their own notes. Okay. But just for 60 seconds, now you're in your heart, just write out, what do I demand in this area of life and business? Okay, you just write out 60 seconds. All the sentences. Yeah. And the reason I do the heart exercise and do the time thing with the genie is that I don't want you to overthink it. Sure. Some people, the need of the heart is, it's very intense, it's very passionate, it's very aggressive. It's like demanding, what do I want? This is like the first need you always start off with, but you don't want it to be the only need because it's not sustainable. You can kind of burn out if you're just using that. So once you kind of clarify that, you kind of vision there, it's satisfied your heart. Okay. When I'm doing the other life areas, I don't do the exercise for each life area. I just focus on one word, which is the word outstanding. Outstanding. Okay. Yeah. So from your heart, you want to be giving an outstanding level of attention to what it is you want. Okay. An outstanding business, outstanding finances, outstanding health, so on. So once you've done that, then we'd focus on the mind. So we're going to the next one. Like, what's the next thing we need to satisfy the mind? So the heart's happy. Let's go back. Give all that attention to this big dream. The next need would be the mind. The mind's freaking out because the mind's like, oh my God, this crazy person has so many big dreams. How am I going to keep up? You know? And this messes people up quite a bit. But like Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. So in each area, there's certain physical metrics that lead to success in these areas. So what I found from doing this with hundreds of people is the most common metrics when it comes to business is either having staff, team members, stakeholders, partners, or skills. Okay.
Okay.
What are those five? And all kind of the same thing. It's like, what kind of roles, identities, skill sets do you need for your business vision to kind of thrive?
Right.
So you would pick one of those. So for you, Jessica, what appeals the most? What do you want to have a ton of? Is it staff, team members, partners, stakeholders, or skills? Which one would you want to have?
Probably staff at this point, because like for me at the moment, skills is great, but I would love to be able to offload the stuff that like doesn't light me up that I'm already doing in my business, So I'd love to be able to give away like the marketing and give away the admin and stuff like that. So for me, I think it would be staff.
Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
so pick staff. Okay, and then what I'd get you to do also in my spreadsheet would be write down the subcategories of staff.
Okay.
So what kind of stuff do you need? CEO, CFO, accountant, coach, marketing person, salesperson, so on. But the main metric is staff. Okay, so now the heart's happy. We're giving out an outstanding level of attention to what it is we want. The mind satisfied, like yes, okay, we need to get staff. That's the thing that's going to keep us safe. Then we move on to the body. To satisfy the body, we want to get clear on the positive and the negative emotions that we're moving away from. A lot of people I work with say, can we just do the positive emotions? That's what I want to focus on. You could, but it's not enough. Like human beings will do a lot more to get away from pain than they will to move towards pleasure. So got to clarify those negative emotions, especially when things get tough. You've got to have something more painful than the pain you're feeling in this moment that's going to push you on to hit those goals.
Sure.
So the way we come up with the positive and negative emotions here is I would ask you, in your words, one word, what are the best kind of staff? And then one word, what are the worst kind of staff that you dread working with?
Okay, so best kind are like auto-motivated, and the worst kind are like interfering.
Okay, so
yeah.
You would want motivated, not interfering staff.
That's right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we know that, okay, that would be the body satisfied. The body's moving towards being motivated with staff and not interfering with staff.
Right.
Okay. Now the next thing we're going to would be the spirit finally. Okay, and this is the action. The spirit's not too bothered about what it does. It just wants to be keeping busy, not stagnating, just kind of moving. So the heart's getting its attention, the mind knows it wants staff, and the body knows it wants to be motivated, not interfering. Now to come up with the action, I just want you to fill in the blank in this sentence. So repeat after me. If I had motivated, not interfering staff, they would be doing what?
They would be supporting the same goals and visions that I'm working towards.
Okay, fantastic. So we want to try shorten the action. Okay, and I also to say, like, what's the verb? And add the word more. So we do more of it.
More supportive.
So, to support more.
To support more. Action. Wonderful.
So that would be your first incantation. It'd be a give to support more with motivated, not interfering staff. Okay?
Give to support more with motivated, not interfering staff.
Does that make sense to you?
I think so. The only thing that's a question is that give to support more. So
got it. So so initially when I started doing this framework, the first word would be I want. I want to support more with motivated, not interfering staff. Okay? But actually change the word to give because you'll be giving to the business.
Okay.
The business is the pronoun here. So you're saying give to the business to support more with motivated, not interfering staff. So in that sentence, you've got 4 human needs satisfied. But the need of contribution and giving, so the word give, to support more, satisfies growth, motivated, not interfering, satisfies love connection, and then staff satisfies your need for certainty. Okay. So 4 human needs satisfied in a very short sentence, and that would be your incantation.
Okay. And then the way that incantations work, just to sort of give the outline of either the subconscious and or metaphysical functionality of incantations, is that it does alter your reality because it alters your inner experience. Is that how you would describe an incantation?
Yeah. So I mean, you've got to pair it with some other stuff. So in my program, like I've got so after we do the eight incantations, I've got a breathing exercise where we
Okay.
kind of breathe into each chakra while saying the incantations. Because what we've done now is your mind is coming up with like, oh, I think my body wants to feel motivated, not interfering, but your body will be the true test.
Okay.
Okay, so we do an intense breath exercise to make sure the body is happy with those words too. Then also I create like a mind movie, so kind of googling all the high res pictures that you want to manifest into your life, putting the incantations text over the pictures, putting a cool soundtrack. Then you've got some meditation video that you watch for that and watch that before bed. Gets into your subconscious. But I say my incantations, I pump up my chakras every morning. So
Okay.
if I don't do it, in fact, today I haven't done it because I'm a bit sick actually. I was like 2 seconds away from like canceling this interview, but I was like, no, 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 I
No,
need to
this is
push on
exciting.
and
Good.
I need to practice what I preach, you know.
Sure.
But generally, I'd be in a higher state if
Okay.
I pumped up my chakras this morning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. This is all like great stuff, fascinating to put it together. And thank you so much for describing all that. I'd love to get into, because you were talking about sort of like negative emotions motivating you more. I'd love to talk about how you've kicked some habits in your life, how you've
Mm.
chosen to be a different person and like gone ahead and kicked, the habits that a lot of people believe are too hard or too difficult, or, oh, I don't have the willpower. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of the habits I've kicked. Like kind of growing up, I always had this kind of limiting belief that I have an addictive personality, and even sometimes now I'll say that it's like, no, don't say it, don't say it. You know, it'll come true. But yeah, I was a huge smoker, and like part of the reason I created my incantation system was that when I went to university in the UK, I just abused my body. Like
Mhm.
you don't get drugs out here in Dubai, so it's just a massive novelty to me once I went to the UK. It's like, wow, drugs. So I was just drinking and doing drugs and just messed up my body and mind over those 4 years.
Sure.
So when I came back, I was just getting triggered by everything around me. And that led me to kind of just get a whiteboard, read like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Simon Sinek books, just around core values. Like, what are the words I need to be saying in my head? And then I joined Platinum Partnership, had an intervention with Tony to give me feedback on my system. So I helped kind of clarify that system. But some of my habits, so I used to be a big smoker, so I haven't done drugs or smoking in the last 12 years, actually 13 years now, in 2023.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Alcohol has been 7 years. That was 2016. And then coffee for 3 years. 4 years,
Wonderful.
sorry. 4 years. So yeah, I've stopped all of those now. The only one that maybe I have left is sugar. You know, like
Okay.
I need some fun. So and maybe that's a limiting belief in itself, you know. But
Sure.
I do like a sweet treat now and then. But yeah, those kind of habits I've managed to kick. I do teach people that through my system too. But actually, the way I kicked it was before my Tony Robbins events. I read a book, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking.
Yeah,
Have you heard
that's
of
the
that?
one I also read too, and also quit smoking back in the day,
Awesome. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic book, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually wanted to ask you, like, is it fresh in your memory? Because I don't have it fresh in my memory, and I really do think that whatever the magic is in that book can be applied to what I imagine you've done with
Oh,
the rest of your
yeah.
habits. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because I read the Easy Way to Stop Smoking, Easy Way to Stop Drinking. I use the same principle for coffee. But yeah, just as like a refresh, the main thing the book does is it just changes your meaning towards certain things. You know, like if you genuinely like smoking, and you're just going to be torturing yourself the whole time. Whereas if you generally don't like it, it's easy. It's so easy. You know,
Sure.
you don't have to use willpower. Just kind of changing your meaning. For example, when we did the incantation for you just
Mhm.
now and said you wanted motivated, not interfering staff, um, it's the same principle there. You know, like I like to use the example. What's your favorite food?
Soup. I'm going to just say soup right now. I don't know why today that
Okay.
seems to be the answer.
Okay. Which food do you not like the most?
I would probably say liver.
Liver. Okay, cool. So I say to people, like, if you're in the middle of the desert and somebody says, oh, let's go find some soup. You're like, oh yeah, I'd love a nice soup. You'll find a way to make it happen.
Okay.
You'll go drive somewhere and find somewhere that serves soup because you really want it. Whereas if somebody said, oh, let's go get some liver, like, ugh, I don't want to go get liver.
Sure.
No way. So it's the same principle like with the incantations when you want to get the right staff for your business, and then also with the habits like smoking, drinking, and coffee. So excuse me. So yeah, it's all to do with kind of changing your meaning towards things there. But I was actually watching an interview, I think last week, with somebody who also kicked smoking using the same book. And they mentioned something that I hadn't thought of. Was saying in Alan Carr's book, what he also does, like he changes the meaning, but with that meaning are also certain beliefs that you have around that thing, whether
Right.
it's smoking, drinking, gambling, whatever. And he talks you out of those beliefs, like they're bullshit. Like he questions every single one of them. It goes back to like first principles. Like anyone who's ever tried smoking or alcohol, like when you're maybe like anywhere from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, however old you were when you first tried it, nobody likes it the first time.
No.
It's naturally you don't like it, but you see groups of people doing it like, oh, there must be a reason, and you buy into these beliefs. Like I remember when they used to advertise cigarettes, you'd have the Marlboro man going through the countryside and all manly and free and smoking. So he questions all these beliefs, and there's a combination of that, changing the meaning, and through those meanings you have certain beliefs, and just saying bullshit, 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 bullshit until you truly believe it. And then it's just so easy to do. Like, whereas if you're just forcing yourself all the time, it's hard. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I took away from that book when I did read it was the fact that he continually mentioned, like, don't quit smoking now. Read the book, smoke as many as you like. And I was also living in London at the time. I just come back from like an international flight. So I had bought like a case of cigarettes, obviously being a heavy smoker. And I had them, I just opened it. So I'm on my first pack and I get this book and I mean, I didn't even want to quit. I was only reading it because my colleagues had, and they were being so annoying about it. And so I'm reading this book, and he keeps saying like, don't stop your habit. Like, don't smoke less. Don't try to smoke less while you're reading this book. You have permission to be as much of a smoker as you are, as long as you're reading this book. And I think that was like a huge thing because it also took off the pressure of that belief, like I have to quit. I have to, I have to have willpower. And then I noticed over the progression of reading the book, and I think I read it in like 4 days, right? That I simply didn't want to, but he would keep repeating in the book, like, hey, go have your cigarette break. You've read, a whole chapter, go have a break. And I'd be like, lighting cigarette, oh, this is gross. And I know Tony's spoken also about like what he used to do to stop people from smoking and like forcing them in a room to like smoke, a carton of cigarettes until like they were like screaming, like, I can't do this. I don't want to be a smoker. I don't want to be a smoker. I'm not a smoker anymore. And that's the flip. So just fascinating, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, like it's definitely I find human behavior fascinating. Just how you can use little tricks and strategies to kind of just make huge changes in your habits and behavior. It's fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your everyday life? What does your life look like at this point?
My everyday life. So I have a lot of clients in the States and Canada. So I'm normally up to around like 9:30, 10. In bed by either 10 or 11. Wake up either between 5 and 6. I always start the day off going for a jog with my dogs.
Lovely.
Always whimpering and begging for me to take them for a walk. So 20-minute jog with the walks, with the dogs. Come back, I'll do my strength training. I've got like 12 high intensity exercises that I do. And then I'll do my yoga postures after that. So the workout takes maybe like an hour and a half total. And during the yoga finishing postures, my mom's like an Ashtanga yoga teacher. So I do Ashtanga yoga. I've got these 8 poses I do where I'm saying the incantations. I really pump them up, and that's a must for me to kind of make sure I have like a good day.
So you're mixing like body activity with this, what I can call, mental magic at this point.
Yeah. So like internally I'm saying it and stuff, but you need to combine breath with it.
Okay.
And actually Tony Robbins, what he does before he goes on stage, he's on like a massage table, and he has somebody like working on his chakras and really pumping them up before he goes out on stage. So that's why he's like so energized.
Yeah.
So I do like something similar like that. But yeah, wake up like between 5 and 6, go for a jog, do my strength training, finishing yoga, do my finishing yoga postures, then kind of chill my wife and son. Make sure that they our nursery is quite close to the house, so we kind of walk us onto nursery. My wife will go off to work, give her a kiss. Then I'll kind of get to work, so like between actually most mornings I won't shower. I'll go straight away do an infrared sauna at this kind of spa close by. I'll do a cryotherapy session too. I'm very structured and organized, if you can't already tell.
Okay. Yeah.
Divide life into 8 areas, divide business into 8 areas. So leadership, finance, management, branding, which is like the back end of your business. Then delivery, research, marketing, sales, which is the front end. So I've got like a metrics dashboard. I'm kind of just checking those, making sure that those moving along. And if there's anything needed from my side, like just a few tasks to kind of get done. Yeah, I've got time for calls as well, like I'm doing now with you. I'm in Dubai at the moment, so it's like nearly 1 p.m. now. Pick my son up at 2, go play with him for like 2 to 3 hours, come back, check in with my team because they're kind of virtual. They're based in like Scotland, Singapore, Philippines. So I'll check in with them at 5, dinner and bath with my son, put my son to bed, and then calls from 7:30 to about 10:30, repeat. Yeah.
Repeat every day. But it seems as if this is what, lights you up. This is having that regularity, what you were talking about before, certainty. What your day is like, and that's really great. It's structured.
Like what I found was really important was finding out what's my zone of genius. When I was doing everything by myself, I didn't have this kind of dream day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know that struggle because I am not able to delegate at the moment, or not that I'm not able to. I'm coming towards being able to delegate. My day.
I mean, like one thing I had is like, I need money to kind of hire staff and stuff.
Right.
It's really just partnering with the right people.
Right.
Like my zone of genius is just people. So for me, I'm constantly interviewing people to see who are at my team, and then I'm doing podcasts and other interactions to kind of spread awareness of my mission, meeting with my staff, and then also clients as well. So if my whole day is just interacting with people, I'm charged.
And it flows. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. When it comes to doing like Facebook ads and tweaking stuff in spreadsheets, I can do it, but I'll get drained.
What would your definition? I mean, this podcast is called Some Kind of Mystic, and that's like sort of because we're all some kind of mystic, right? So for you, what does like the word mysticism, or what is the mystical? What would your definition be? Because everyone has a personal definition of that word.
No, I mean, it's kind of to do with mystery, I guess. So like, it's a good question. Like for me, I'm very structured. I have all these frameworks, because I do like the phrase, you can have you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything that you want. There are some people that I talk to saying like, you're way too structured. You're kind of limiting your life in a defense of like, I need to do that if I want to achieve stuff, Whereas I find with mysticism, it's probably like a true definition of life. Like there's so many things out there, So for me, mysticism is just like kind of always seeking, like always trying to find something, different meanings. Like no one experience is the same, Like I remember I was in a mastermind that was very Christian. I was brought up as Catholic, and some of the feedback was always like, "Oh, go and read Proverbs." I was like, "Oh, I don't want to read Proverbs again," It's the same thing, but every time you read it, you get a new meaning,
Sure.
So I find that with mysticism, there's no like kind of set way of looking at stuff. Like everything can be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great definition. I love that. I love that so much. Let us know where everyone can find you.
Yeah, so Facebook is the place I'm most active on. Okay. So if you search Neil Young, there's a lot of Neil Youngs actually on Facebook. But if you follow me on Instagram too, so my company is called Advanced Alpha. So advanced_alpha is on Instagram, or Neil Dylan Young. That's my name on Facebook and LinkedIn. But yeah, come and check me out there. Also, if you want a free template of the incantations worksheet of the incantations process that I just did with you, go to my website, so advancedalpha.ae. AE stands for Arab Emirates.
Okay.
where I'm based, and then just put /GPS.
Okay, I'll
You know,
put that in the show notes to make it easy for everyone to click on so they can head over there and grab that template as well. Thank you for providing that for everyone.
nice.
And is there anything else you want to leave people with? The big impact inspiration. You have 1 minute to get your message out there, what you wish for people.
Yeah. There's a quote I like saying, "Only when you do not know yourself do the opinions of others become important." So I would come with incantations, or if you've got some other system, use it, but you need a lot of clarity on how you want your life to be. Otherwise, you'll keep on getting sucked in different directions. So for me, that's I say quite clear through incantation. So my kind of last thing to say to people would be, get very clear on who it is that you want to be. Just give it your full attention and heart.
Thank you so much, Neil Young, for joining us here today. It's been so wonderful. I've loved this conversation. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to download your template now and work on my other incantations and see where that brings me. Because you got to start somewhere. Like you said, you start with a second, before you get to a year. So that's really
exactly.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Some Kind of Mystic podcast. If you're hearing this message, you've listened all the way to the end of this episode, and for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's people just like you that keep me motivated to bring you more and more enlightened content to the world. If you have any questions about the things we covered in the show or would like to follow my projects, please find me on www.jpherman.com. I answer all my messages, so don't hesitate to reach out. You can also find me on Instagram, and the details are in the show notes.
I did a half marathon in a full Darth Vader suit. That was pretty tough. It was on my birthday. I did it on my birthday, and the year after I quit smoking or something. Yeah, it was just on my birthday. I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and you go around these neighborhoods. It's like very suburban community. As long as the kids like cheering people on, the kids are freaking out. They're like, that's so scary. It's like scaring all these kids. I wouldn't do it again. It was just horrible. I think at one point I picked up a cup. I thought it was water. I just put it on me. It was like orange juice. I was just like covered in orange juice, a sticky Darth Vader suit. It's just horrible.